good evening and welcome back to 12th Dimension with me and Chris from Scottish Paranormal Podcast.
Evening all, evening Andy.
Good evening. Hope everyone's okay. Thanks for coming back. So this is part 2 of Skinwalker Ranch. Sorry, I'm just typing something quick. Right. Right, that's it, done. So we're doing part 2. So we're going to go into season 1, aren't we?
Yeah, the first section we're talking about a wee bit of history, stuff that's went on in the past, and then jumping into the curse of Skinwalker Ranch or the secret of Skinwalker Ranch if you're watching America.
Yes. Yeah, they change. I don't know why they change it. Just keep it the same title. Make it easy all around, won't it?
I think it was a History Channel was doing the Curse of Oak Island, and then they kept it like that. But the same as well. I think it's a secret of Oak Island as well in America.
Yeah, that's one I've been watching.
It makes it sound more intriguing or something.
Yeah, still creepy stuff either way, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Right, but before we go into that, I've had a bit of stuff going on 2 nights ago. So I'll just start right at the beginning. So it was Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, early hours. I've got a camera just above me there. It's just pointing down to all the equipment. So in case if anything happens, it's constantly recording. Not dodgy, not like that. And it's on a flat surface. It's blue tack down. So if it was to fall, you've got to push it. It's on a stand, and then the head, you can rotate it. Do you know what I mean? It's on like a pivot. See if you can. So there, that's it. You can just see it there next to the glass ball. So I was laying in bed, and that just fell down behind the TV. It's like, do you know when you wake up? It's like, what was it? So put the light on, worked out where it was, put it back up. Then at about 2:30, I woke up needing to use the bathroom, and I was bursting to go. Do you know when it's one of them, you've got to go special in the middle of the night. As you get older, you know about it. But I didn't want to get out of bed. There's something, my gut feeling was saying, don't get out of bed, don't go. And I was really hesitant going to the bathroom, which is only about 12 foot across the landing. Anyway, so I went to the bathroom, literally ran back, got in bed. And then I said that was bang on 2:30. I was up for work at 5:30. About 5 minutes before my alarm went off, I woke up and could feel something on my finger. So I'll show you. So there's a little pinprick there. And it was not quite red round it, and I squeezed it and a drop of blood come out. And then throughout the day, I noticed there's another one on my other index finger in the same part. So in the middle bit of between the top and bottom knuckle. So not symmetrical, but both in the same bit. Now there's nothing near me or near the bed that I could reach out and grab and cause that to happen. The nearest thing that I've got that's sharp is a pair of scissors, and they're like right inside this unit. And it was just really strange. I don't remember it happening. I just remember waking up and seeing that one. And then I was checking my other hand. I was parked up having my lunch and noticed one on my other finger. And that's it. That's all I've got. Don't know what
index fingers.
Sorry? Both index fingers, yeah.
Index fingers.
So both. So you can see both of them. So they're both on the, if you look, it'd be the right-hand side. One's nearer the top there. The other one is...
I'm just laughing. I just seen Mike Wright saying bed bugs there.
Yeah, and one's there. But the thing, if there's anything sharp near the bed, then sure, I'd have done it before now. I'd have felt it when I'd done it. So, yeah. Anyone any ideas I'm ignoring the messages because it's nonsense. Yeah, so I don't know what it was. There's nothing round here that's pointed or sharp enough that could do that. Excuse me.
I did have somebody contact me before, and they were talking about. I know we're kind of going to be a bit off tangent, but they were talking about they had experiences when they were younger, and they basically. I'm not going into the notes. I'll get the story later on, but they had experience with visitations in their room, and they had said that they had an implant, and it was basically just below the left pinky. And they dug out what was ever in there, and that's they've still got it. I mean, it was like it's see through, you know what I mean? But it's like there's no breaking the skin or anything like that. I mean,
well, that's the thing with this. Well, sorry, I thought it was like a splinter or something, but it's like there's nowhere I could get a splinter from.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's like the wooden units are all coated, so they've all got like the laminated, all got plastic coating of some sort on them.
Yeah.
So plus, you'd see a splinter sticking out, and I won't get in both fingers in the same night. You'd have thought anyway.
The funny thing was when I was talking to the guy about the implant in his hand, I'd said to him before he said where it was it in your left pinky or down for your left pinky? And he said that was actually at the side of his left pinky. And the reason I said that was, and I'm not saying I've had an implant or anything like that, it's just because below my left pinky there was some under my skin. And there was no break. There was no break in the skin at all. This was years ago, and I could feel something in it. It was below my pinky, and I dug it out. It was a tiny, about a millimetre and a half round, opaque ball sphere, total sphere. I mean, I dug it out, and I don't know what happened to it, but it was. I just thought it was something. There was no break in the skin or anything like that. That's why I asked him that. But I'm not saying I had an implant. I'm just saying it was something under the skin, but break in the skin. So
It's just strange, but that's what I was saying. So with a splinter, you'd have it sticking out, and you'd have like a little like abrasion where the skin's raised.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I managed to push a drop of blood through, there was nothing there. So it's just very odd.
Odd one.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I've got this week.
Oh.
This week's highlight.
So we'll jump into series. Jump into series one. I kind of thought maybe we could start off with going down some of the crew that's actually in Skinwalker to start off with, just a kind of brief description of them.
Yeah.
See what we've got. So one of the ones that did stick in my mind to start off with the Skinwalker Ranch season one, he did my head in to start off with, but I became to like him after. Was Dragon. His name's
the security.
Yeah, it did my head in totally.
See, I wasn't sure about him at first.
Yeah, I was the exact same, but I'm beginning to like him quite a lot. But before, I thought it was a bit of a pain in the ass. He was constantly saying, "No, we can't do this. We need to phone Brendan and all this kind of Brandon." So so Dragon is Brandon Arnold, or Brian Arnold. Sorry, he's security for the ranch. He's also got somebody else in there that helps him with security called Caleb Bard. Sorry, Caleb Bench, his name is. He also works security for the ranch. And we'll kind of talk about them as we go through.
That's a ginger guy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a ginger guy. Quite well built. Obviously, we've got Brandon Fugel, who owns the ranch, millionaire, property mogul. You've got Travis Taylor. You maybe see him in Ancient Aliens. He actually does a lot of contractor work for the government and stuff, and a lot of different projects, and worked at universities. He was an electrical engineer, like basically degrees in electrical engineering, physics,
like a rocket scientist,
optical science, engineering and aerospace science as well and stuff. So he well kind of versed in everything that he needs for the ranch anyway. We've also got Eric Bard. He's a plasma physicist who works in the ranch. He's the guy you always see around all the monitors, all the computers.
Yeah. He's a tech guy, isn't he?
Yeah. You've got Thomas Winterton. So Thomas Winterton, he's the superintendent for the ranch. He looks after the maintenance of the ranch and kind of looks after it. And then you've got two other people, but you don't hear much of these people, but you see them throughout the series and all the series as Tom Lewis and Candice Lind. So the two of them are like ranch hands. And I do find, as we go on and talk about it later on, I do find that some of the facial expressions of Candice Lind when she sees some things, I'd like to actually, if I was going to talk to anybody in the ranch and I had a choice, I'd like to talk to her. And I'll tell you why when we kind of go through.
So they're the two rangers, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the ranch hands that can the cattle and stuff like that.
So they live in, don't they live near Pt.2?
Yeah, I think they live in like one of the kind of old cottages or either that.
Yeah. So they just go around and. But you're saying the plasma guy? That's the older guy, isn't it, with the bald head?
No, he's got grey hair. He's the guy. He's the guy that works in the main guy. Has got all the computer screens, all the security cameras.
Yeah.
Aye, there is other people that get in.
Yeah,
but they're the main people you see right through the whole kind of 3 series, working throughout the ranch. Might have missed some people there, but I think that's the most.
They're the main ones. They're the ones that pop up constantly through it.
Yeah,
but like you were saying, Dragon, the security guy, it did do my head in a bit that he was saying, "No, we can't dig. No, we can't do this. No, we can't do that. Need to phone Brandon, get him on a conference call." And he's like, and then he starts kicking off by going, "Oh, no one's listening to me because I'm the only person here that's not got a PhD." He starts kicking off about that as well, which fair enough because he's the main guy. He's running it while Brandon's away doing his own business. So.
Is this Travis Taylor you're talking about?
No, this Dragon.
No, but I'm talking about the PhD.
Oh, because there's 3 or 4 of the others that are all like doctors in something.
No, I mean they're the ones with the PhD, but Dragon's just.
He's the only one that isn't. So he was like kicking off a bit, saying, "I don't get an opinion because I've not got a doctor in this or I've not got a PhD in that."
He's got a doctor and then not digging. That's what he's got a doctor in. Can't dig on the ranch. But anyway, I thought it was a bit of pain to start off with, but I came to kind of like him.
He's mellowed out a bit now.
Right. So if you want to, kind of get into kicking off, kind of where they started, or what were they looking at first in season 1, kind of moving through some of the experiments and that. People in the chat, feel free to jump in as well.
Yeah, because I know a lot of the people in chat have watched it or they're in the middle of watching it. The one that got me was when they did the first energy. I don't know if it's got an energy test, but when they went in and they had all the different frequencies kicking off, and the pointing it up in the air and it's picking all the radiation up, but then they're pointing it into the ground and it's like having the same readings.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you said last week, where Skinwalker Ranch isn't that far from when they did the atomic bomb testing back in the 50s, 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think it's possible then a lot of that fallout has carried over and gone into the land around that area?
I don't think that's going to cause the different types of signals they're looking at, though. I mean, it might cause background radiation, but it's a different type of radiation in terms of it's electromagnetic fields and microwaves and stuff like that. I mean, on the spectrum, so it's on the different end of the spectrum, that type of stuff. But so when they were looking at all the different frequencies that were coming in initially, right at the start, and they were using the directional. So as I said last week, when they get the EMF meters and stuff like that, some of them are the directional. So they're putting like a tin can around them so they can actually that basically small Faraday cage when about it, but it lets it kind of beam out so they can actually pinpoint where it is. The jury's out with actually how they actually pinpointed into the sky. I reckon they had some notification for that, exactly where that point was in the sky. But for all the directional bits with the EMF meters, we're picking up different frequencies would come and go, disappear, and then they would jump to that 1.6 gigahertz. And they'd blast everything out for a set period of time. And that period of time was usually when there was a bit of some type of experience going on or some type of kind of event going on. Like, for example, when they were in season 1, when they were doing the balloon tests, so they were sending up like the GoPros and with a lot of different sensors and that, and the balloons, sent the balloons up. I think a few of them got some data, but then like one disappeared totally.
Well, the first one come crashing. They sent it up, but it come crashing down.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. It didn't land where they wanted it to. And then the second one that went up and was up for a lot longer, and they're trying to pull it back in because obviously they had it on a wire, and they was checking the data, and that was picking a lot of stuff up over near Skinwalker, where the ridge is at the back. So that was picking a lot of data up from there. But then, did you see the one where they built they built the rockets? Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first one come crashing down and just like obliterated everything that was in it. They couldn't use any of the equipment again. Mm-hmm. So they built another one that went up, and they got a lot more data from that than a lot of the other experiments that they've done. But they didn't really say anything on what data they got from that.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of conclusive stuff for that. And
no.
the thing is, well, I'm sure one of the balloons disappeared in it as well. They couldn't find the data from it. It disappeared up so high. Because
yeah.
And then, but at the same time as that as well, then there was a UFO sighting. So like something appeared further over in the sky. And
because the cameraman picked it up, didn't he? And there's watching it. It was just moving about, and then it just shot off and vanished.
And then they found out with a lot of these things correlating with eventually as things moved on when they looked at the readings they were getting, and then sometimes when that full reading blasted out for everything, it was like 1.6 gigahertz was just blanking everything out. That's when some type of event was happening, and that's like usually if there was maybe like a UFO in the sky that was happening or whatever else. The same kind of thing was going on when they done, for example, going into a few seasons later when as I was talking about like last week when they done the whole type of ritual type thing, and then the portal, and that did the same. But there's loads of things like that. I mean, it actually got to that, but they start off with before they did stuff like that as well. When they were looking at when they moved into the ranch, they were told not to dig in the ranch. That was one of the things. Don't dig in the ranch. And the whole kind of thing as well was they had to get permission to dig in the ranch, and that was the whole dragon thing we just talked about. At the start there, and that was one of the kind of main things. I said that when the people who the Shermans bought the house off here, the Gormans, the Shermans, one of the two, they got told not to dig in the ranch, and they obviously passed that on to the other teams and whatever else, and then and that's moving on for that kind of warning about the digging. I think that's how Thomas Winterton ended up getting the thing in the back of the head.
Yeah, because
he was working on an earthmoving machine or something like that, and he got like it was almost like blasted in the back of the head or something, and his head all swelled out. At the back, outside his like scalp and stuff like that. And his brain was kind of swelled up as well or something.
Yeah, because it was pushing the bone out and everything, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mad. I mean,
but then, but as soon as it's just before they started digging, when the activity started picking up, that he had to get rushed into hospital because he got rushed into hospital because it started to do it again, but they managed to catch it in time, whatever it was. And I think that's when didn't they put a hold on all the experiments?
Yeah, that's okay. See, that's the thing though with that type of radiation, and I can into that because I know what that type of radiation can do to me because I'm quite sensitive to it. To the point where it can. I can actually see, like, when I sit in front of a computer screen, I can see rashes in my face and stuff like that, or it gives me migraines and whatever, right? So I just limit all that kind of usage stuff. It's nothing paranormal. It's just I'm sensitive to microwave radiation, right? Because the microwave radiation, how a microwave works, if you don't know how a microwave works, it basically it vibrates the molecules, and that's what heats the stuff up. You know what I mean? So at that kind of frequency, potentially it could be doing the same. You know what I mean? Or we're seeing it's like heating the molecules up, but it's that's kind of what it's doing. So with all that stuff going on, and also when they were investigating around the ranch and stuff, you also had things further happening with Travis Taylor, the radiation burns in his hand. He had radiation.
He got him on his face and his neck, didn't he?
And
as well?
And that's the thing. But it was that type of radiation. it was transient, because like it's hard to actually get that in a focused beam. You know what I mean? Because that would be, if you can imagine, if you sat in front of a phone mast, right? That radiation is going to be blasting out, or it's going to be directional into a mobile phone or whatever, but it's still going to be there in a wide spectrum. So for it to be that focused on him and his person and his body or his hand and his face, it's quite mad. And the thing is, when they were testing for it, because they went about, they had EMF meters on constantly testing it, that they could see that it would come and go, or if we were looking at certain things, it was potentially kind of like an attack on them, or you know what I mean. So it was a funny one, like
because he went to see his doctor as well, didn't he? Went to double check that he was okay.
Yeah,
and the doctor said it's like if you put something in a microwave for 2 minutes, it's like 0.2. The radiation that you've got is like you being in that microwave for 2,000 minutes.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. So that's what it does, because it vibrates the molecules, and then if it's the right analogy for it, and it heats up, and that's how microwaves can work. But that type of focused any energy on it. What I'll do next week, I take it you can share the screen. So what I'll do is I'll show you a kind of, if people probably know what it is, but if you don't, I'll show you the whole spectrum, right? The spectrum spectrum from things like normal radiation right through basically the light spectrum, and it goes right through for like normal radiation, right through to like your EMFs, ELFs, all that kind of stuff, and you can see what kind of can be harmful, and then you'll be able to see what a microwave is in between that, and then how it falls off mobile phones, TVs, and then Wi-Fi and everything like that. There are certain kind of spectrum for that, but it's funny that this has been that focused that it was affecting him. And there has been other things as well in the past. If you've probably been into any conspiracies and that, and this has there's been weapons developed, like microwave energy weapons being developed in the past. You know what I mean, for a lot of different kind of things. And it's just a strange one how it kind of affected some people. And I could see straight away where that Tom Winterton, he was affected the same way. So that was the same kind of like focus beam or something in the back of his head, as well as people in the ranch who got it, like Travis Taylor and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, do you remember the bit with the alpacas?
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to go on a bit, I'm not, just keep jumping in.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to think of different things that were going on at the time. So the incident with the alpacas they decided 2-3 days before that they was going to put a load of security cameras up around the ranch.
Yeah.
So because of how widespread it all is, and then the guy who's like the tech guy in the main database with all these screens and computers, he just leave them running 24/7. So if they pick anything up, they can go back to it and have a look. So they had what's he got? Corral.
The corral.
Yeah, they had a corral. There's about 7 or 8 alpacas in it.
I don't think there was many as that. I think there was maybe only about 4 or
something. An handful of something, wasn't it?
But they said that I think there had been an attack on something, and then what they did is they put the alpacas in a corral and videoed it to see what would come in. And there is no supposed to be much wolves in that area. And something came and attacked the alpacas, right?
Well, and there was one thing that was attacking 2 of them at the same time.
Yeah. And the thing is, it had its arm or hand through the fence, right? And it cut them all. You actually see them all cut and broken.
Oh, yeah, because you get the vet out and it looks like it's going to have to be put down.
But the thing with that is, right, that was one of the main bits that stuck in my head with the whole thing, right? Every bit of the season, that was one of the main bits. And I alluded to it earlier on because the ranch hand, that Candace Lund, right? The lady that works as a ranch hand, and her husband's like Tom Lewis, or I think that's either a husband or boyfriend, right? So they stay together as ranch hands. When the video camera didn't catch the thing, it just caught a glimpse of it because I think they didn't see it, but they seen it out one of the trailers at the side.
Yes, so it's just like a little corner.
You only seen a bit of it, right?
Yeah.
But then the mad thing with that, it's when you go, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, the main camera that was pointing to the corral went off for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
As it all started.
But that's what I'm saying. They got the bit still at the side, but you can see something there.
But
right?
it's very blurred though, isn't it?
And then the main kind of thing, what got me is when they were talking about it and going back over the video,
and they froze it.
No, when you see that Candace, when you see her face, she's seen something.
Oh yeah, you can see the fear in her eyes.
And she totally was mega spooked, right? But they didn't dwell on it enough. They didn't talk about it much after that.
No.
They had this thing that came in, whatever it was. They said there wasn't even any wolves in that area. And whatever this thing was, it came in. It was trying to get through the fence.
Yeah.
So this thing got through the fence and they cut the alpacas through the fence, through the corral. So if you've got let's say it's a wolf or a coyote, right?
Yeah.
It's only going to try and bite through the fence. It's not actually going to. This thing was, you could see some kind of appendage coming through the fence. And it cut the alpaca.
Didn't the ranger, the guy, you can't remember his name, he went out and started hitting it with sticks and logs. And
it was still there.
It wasn't until he actually threw one right near it, just missed it or something, and it carried on. It wasn't until he got one and went over and smacked it that it got off.
But that's the thing. So you with that, you never heard anybody giving a description yet.
No.
Right? That's the thing that got me is like you seen the grainy video from the side.
Yeah.
You seen Candace's facial expression was like she was horrified or she was scared. You see some fear in her body, right? And that's why I said at the start, I said I wouldn't mind talking to her because there's a few things where you see the look in her face where it's almost like she's seen. It's either one of two things. She's either totally in disbelief, and thinks it's a lot of crap, right? And she's like, or she's got extreme fear of something. Right?
But the thing, both them rangers are both scientists as well, though, aren't they?
Was it sorry?
They're both scientists as well, aren't they?
I'm not sure.
They've got all their papers and that from uni, and I can't remember exactly what it is they've done, but they're all highly qualified in their game.
The mad thing with it is, so that was, you never really had a description of it from any person. Nobody turned around and said this thing was this. It was a coyote.
The only thing that they said was they thought it might have been a hyena.
Yeah,
that was the only thing. But I don't know if it was pareidolia. But when they was watching it back and they froze it. And they said you can see it there coming through. The only thing that I could see was what looked like grey.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think when you watch the
bulbous head and the eyes, and it looked like it was leaning through into the pen.
But that's the thing though, because when you seen the grainy video, it looked like there was some type of appendage trying to get into the corral. So a coyote or a hyena, would they be with its paw trying to grab in? You know what I mean? It was almost like something trying to grab through the fence.
Yeah.
And the thing was cut. You know what I mean? It was cut.
It looked like it was going to have to have its leg amputated or put down. Because that was the back of that.
Maybe just put it in the barbecue that night.
Yeah, it was ripped to pieces. And the doctor, because he said, are they going to cauterize it and that? He goes, no, I'll just give it some stitches.
Yeah,
it'll be all right. And it was still caked in blood. It didn't wash any blood off, and it's just there walking around with the others again. That is all you're going to do. It'll be all right. But then,
I found that one of the most interesting bits in it, and that was the one thing I really did struggle with, the fact that nobody really gave a good description of it, although it was somebody was trying to hit it with a stick or something like that. Yeah. Somebody asked, what am I drinking?
Yeah.
It is a smoothie, a super smoothie.
Has it got vodka in it?
It's green. It looks like pea juice, but it's actually a kiwi, lime, matcha, cucumber, and flax seeds. It beats like I was drinking beer last week, so I kind of went the other option for this week.
Right. I was saying, you not put a couple of vodkas or tequila in it?
No.
Not this week. But, sorry, just jumping back. So you said it looked like an appendage, like an arm or something going through. Could that have been the ranger trying to beat it off?
No, because I think it looked like it was. It looked like it was coming through the outside the corral. Maybe I don't know, but we'll need to go back and get a kind of. We'll try and get a picture of that so we can get a.
Yeah, I was
It is
thinking
really
that.
grainy. It is really grainy, but they definitely seen it. So there's either one of two things here. It was that freaky. They don't know. They don't want to say what it is, which I find quite hard to believe at Skinwalker Ranch. Or the other thing is it's something normal, and they just wanted not to see what it is and just over dramatise what it was. So that's the two kind of options that could potentially have been. Something too freaky out there that didn't want to talk about it, or something that was just maybe a mundane thing, or maybe no mundane, obviously, but if it was like a coyote or it was maybe a hyena or whatever else.
Because nothing's mentioned again.
It didn't get mentioned again.
Throughout series 1, nothing else gets mentioned about that. And then even with the 2 UFO sightings, what the first one kind of like, they talk about it now and again, but more as a passing subject. They don't go into detail on it.
Yeah.
But then the second one, which we'll talk about in a bit, I think they do go into that a little bit more because of what happened at the same or around the same time.
Yeah.
The one with the cow.
Yeah. So the cow kind of happened towards the end of it, so we could maybe we'll get a brief talk about that at the end, and then. But there was another part of, so there was things obviously to start off with when they were putting the night vision and stuff, onto the hillside. They could see certain parts of the hillside which was lighting up differently. You remember that?
Had right? Different glows to it, didn't it?
It was glowing and stuff like that, right? And then there was other bits as well where they could actually see beams of light coming from behind the mesa, but there was nothing there. There was nothing at the mesa. So whenever they got and check, there was nothing in that bit of desert. So it was almost, they said it was almost like car lights shining
directly up,
but there was nothing there. And they see this now and again at this point. And so that was like other kind of things that was happening within kind of multiple bits going on within it. And that was like obviously part when they mentioned about the weather balloons, and then obviously the UFO sighting, and then obviously going on to the wee room that was at Homestead.
The hidden room,
and that was we'll talk about that. But I mean, it didn't. It was another thing that didn't get mentioned a lot after it. It was highly strange.
Once they'd done it, it was. So I'm just going to change the light. That's better. I was glowing a bit.
So in Homestead, what Homestead was it? With the room, 2, Homestead 2, in the basement of Homestead 2. There was always noises. There was noises downstairs.
Yeah, right? There's a lot of humming and machinery.
It's Homestead 2, know the place where Tom and Candace live. I'm sure it's where they live. And they would hear banging and stuff like that downstairs, or walking downstairs and stuff. So they checked the basement and there was nothing there. And then they eventually found this small secret room, which was it was all concreted up and stuff. They actually
wasn't it like 2 foot thick or something?
So it was like really, really thick. It was just a total concreted room. And it was
doors,
a square cube shape, which was maybe about, it looked about 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters, roughly. I'm sure that's what it looked like. It was like about a 2 meter kind of cube shaped room.
Because that guy climbed in, didn't he?
Yeah, so what they've done is I don't know how they found this, but they managed to find this room. They knocked through into it. There was no door or nothing. It was just
dropped the camera.
Yeah, it wasn't even bricked up. It was all sealed away totally. So they dropped the camera in first. They broke through into the room. It was just empty, totally empty. This just concrete room, and then they found like a wee pile of bones in the room.
Well, they thought it was bones and like what looked like charcoal.
Yeah,
and that was and that was when they were looking on the camera. And then when he went in, they didn't talk about the bones or the charcoal.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they said they were going to test them.
Yeah, but you never heard some of it could have been the debris when they was knocking the wall, and like whatever is on the back of the brick could have fell off and gone on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never mentioned again.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. But the bones are over in the middle. There was a wee pile of bones in the middle of the room. It just looked like maybe like mouse bones or something like that. It was right in the middle of the room, and it was just another wee pile of stuff. And it could have been anything. It could have been a rodent or something like that. But the thing with that room was, it didn't even look like there was any access points for a rodent. It was just totally sealed. This room was totally sealed in. But what they did find as well, that they thought that room tended to reverberate the noise for you outside.
Yeah,
So
like
the
an
noise
acoustic
amplified within this thing, and they reckon that's potentially what they heard downstairs. So if there was maybe something outside, they would hear this noise kind of reverberate.
It'd travel
into
through,
the
won't
house,
it?
right, travel in. But other things as well about the ranch. There was always stories about them hearing noises underneath the ranch. We alluded to that last week. We talked about they would hear like almost like clanging metal or things dropping like underneath. Is it almost like somebody dropped like a bison, like a big bit of concrete, or like a heavy bit of steel? And I said that like that was doing enough. Yorkshire Paul Sinclair talks about that on the actual the cliffside. He says they've heard like that underneath their feet. It's almost like somebody's dropping like a steel beam or dropping like a large piece of concrete. You can feel it reverberating and banging through the thingy. You know what I mean? But that's kind of what they would hear at Skinwalker Ranch for that. And the interesting thing with it is when they talked about, this isn't the part of Skinwalker Ranch, but they talked about people remote viewing Skinwalker Ranch, and they say that like quite a few remote viewers said that they see like people underneath in some type of base underneath it.
Well, they had a scan, didn't they, of the ground? I can't remember what it's called or anything like that.
So the dug, no, in fact, before the dug, they were going to dig in the ranch, but obviously Dragon was absolutely cacking his cell, right?
Yeah.
In case we'd be dug in the ranch, I mean,
in case he got sacked.
Right, in case he got sacked for like letting somebody dig, right? So they were out with spoons and stuff like that to dig.
Yeah.
So, they done a
is it not sonar, is it?
Sonar.
It's the equivalent.
Yeah. Ground penetrating radar.
Yeah.
So they did that. They did a test of that across bits of the ranch. Quite a lot.
Well, they went across, they got the reading, and then they come back again.
Yeah.
So they could get the picture of it.
So what they found is underneath it, they said they found some type of curved structure or a curved layer within underneath the ground. So when it penetrated down, they could see something that was curved under the ground. Yeah. Right.
But didn't they say it looked like was it a teardrop?
Can't remember that.
They said they give it a shape name. I can't remember. I think it was teardrop. I might be wrong.
Definitely some curvature anyway.
Yeah.
Because I think the actual episode referred to the curve. I can't remember the exact name of the episode, but it was called the curve something, and or something in the thingies in the curve or something like that. It's like something like that in the name of the episode. But they found with doing the ground penetrating radar before they actually did the digging, they found some like it looked like a curved kind of structure underneath. That's what it looked like, right? And at this point, Dragon's totally cracking it now because I know they're maybe going to try and dig. So they has to make that phone call.
Everyone's talking about digging, and he's like,
has to make that phone call to Brandon and say, look, they're going to dig.
Yeah.
So, so that's kind of found. So they eventually get the okay to dig. Did they dig in the first series?
Yes.
Or is that in the second? They dig in the first series, I do. So when they go into the digging, though, a lot of kind of strange things happen when they start digging.
Yeah, well, that's what they said, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they start digging. Oh, sorry, I just need to jump back on something. So when Travis Taylor got them burnt, they lifted a manhole concrete slab up, didn't they?
Yeah. That's when he got his hand. That's when he got his hand burned. So there was like some type of what was it? I don't know if it was a waste section or something like that.
Yeah, because he said it stunk.
Yeah. And then he lifted that up, and that's when he
lifting it up, and
so he lifted a concrete slab off this kind of section, and that's when he got his hand burned.
Yeah,
with
it's
the
like
radiation,
shitty water
the
inside it,
radiation.
wasn't it?
Yeah. But that was kind of before when they got the radiation burns on his hand and on his neck and stuff like that when he touched that. And it's happened to a few people over at that same bit. There's been a few people just about fainted when they walked to that bit. And it's not because of the smell of the whatever's in there.
Probably.
It's just because when they go to that bit, they get lightheaded and they feel nauseous or they feel dizzy. Yeah. And then they've having to be taken away from it. There's been a few people that's happened to that same section. The build. So they go kind of further on. They find obviously, so in the first season they've seen UFOs, they've tested for the data, they've found some data that there's like this, the signals are coming from somewhere up high and they're coming from somewhere like radiating to a bit low as well, and they're trying to pinpoint it. And then so that's that. There's been obviously sightings of that. This weird wee room in the house where there's been stuff things is seen in that kind of as well. They've also had noises about the house. They tried to attribute it maybe potentially this wee room was reverberating some of the noise, but at the same time, why was it there? But they never mentioned that again. They went to this strange wee room that was in the basement, all bricked up, totally sealed in concrete, and then it was they just went on to something else. Never really talked about it.
I know, yeah. So I don't understand why. Unless you go into detail in the other episodes,
but
like season 2 and 3.
No, with that wee room though. That was the last they talked about it in season 1. They didn't really go back into it.
What I got from that room was that was built. Something was put in there, and then it was sealed up with whatever inside it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
But then, was that the remains of what was in it, or did whatever was in there manage to get out without being found?
Don't know. It's an interesting one like that. I mean, but these things, it reminded me of a story, which I'm going to kind of jump over a wee tangent, but it's quite an interesting story.
Yeah,
I'll dig it out one time and I'll post it up. But it was in America where there was a house that was like really, really haunted. It was almost like something demonic, and things went missing in the house. People were getting pushed, people were getting grabbed, scratched, things like that. And there was this thing, whatever it was, in the house. And they eventually found a room that they didn't know was there, right? It was bricked up. There was nothing there. There was nobody to get into this thing, right? There was nobody to get into this room. But I can't remember all the instances that happened, but it was really, I didn't really get scared a lot with these stories, but this one kind of spooked me a wee bit. I was kind of thought, that's quite odd. And I think we're going to make a film or a story yet. But what they found at the end, they actually found this room that was sealed away, totally sealed away, and you couldn't see it from the outside or anything like that. And what they found in it was keepsakes from people in the house. It was all like gathered up in this wee room, like things that was recent. So things off the family that was maybe like a ring or a necklace or a kid's toy was like stolen off them, and it was they found it in this sealed room, which was no way they could get into it. So it kind of reminded me of that a wee bit. Quite a strange story, a bit of a tangent, like, but
it's still kind of related. Cheers. What the fuck is that? Sorry, Macy's just getting something out of the room, and she thinks she fell over something. She's scared. I had me out, hung up at the side of some hooks. She just knocked it off. Just a paranormal heart attack. It's all right.
So somebody asked the question about the bones. So, like, what do I think they were? I don't know. I mean, the thing is with the bones, right? When you look at some other kind of things as well, right?
Yeah.
Where some people, there's been things in other cultures where they'd make a wee pouch up with things, and it would be a curse in a certain place, and it would keep it in somebody's house somewhere, and it would bring like negative energy or a negative entity or something like that.
Yeah, it's like is it a talisman?
Yeah, there's different names for them, right?
But there's
so there's things like that. So potentially was maybe something that are put inside this wee room to try and maybe draw something in there or to keep it there, or a lot of different theories for it. I mean, the jury's out in that one. They didn't delve into it too much after it. I don't know if you heard the testing of the bones and stuff like that, but that's what I kind of, when I first seen it attributed to, because you seen them a wee pile sitting in the middle of the room, and it was almost like something like that. It had been sitting there for a while. That's what it kind of reminded me of, something like that somebody's put in there to kind of either ward off something or to kind of contain something, or to maybe actually create something. You know what I mean? People didn't know about.
Right,
So
we'll do one question before we go for a break, because we're on doing an hour and a half tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right. So this is from Space Cadet. What does Chris and Andy think the bones were for in that room?
That's the question I just said there.
Yeah.
No,
that's why I thought I'll put it up, because it's obviously relevant to what we're talking about. But without being there, you don't know, do you? Really? All we're getting to see is what they're filming. So how much of it is actually true? How much is like genuine?
Somebody's just poked a wingding in the floorboards. It is total concrete though. So the top of it was concrete, the sides were concrete, and the front of it was actually a breeze block. So they had to break through to get into it. And it wasn't like a blocked up doorway. It was like just a total brick wall that they get through.
It's like just add-ons, like extensions constantly being built onto it, wasn't it?
See, I kind of thought that would have been like some type of ladder or something, but it's been totally sealed in. So it was obviously underground and stuff like that. It's going to have like
it's below ground level, wasn't it?
You'd maybe have that as some type of ladder, but it was built at the same time as the house, concrete away. So why would you seal that away?
Unless they just weren't using it anymore and they sealed it off. Because how many owners has that had since they first started building on there?
Yeah, no,
it's going to be a few.
I find it odd though, like if you'd seal something like that off rather than just keep it for like storage or something.
Yeah.
Strange one. But the bones, it's a strange one, the bones, because you didn't see enough of it. But that was the first thing that sprung to mind for me. But maybe something has been put there. But I don't know. You really don't know, as Andy says.
No, but another thing that they were saying is most things happen around Homestead 2. That's where the main activity is.
Homestead 3, is it not? No, Homestead 2 is that. Homestead 2 is that one with the bit downstairs.
Yeah, but that's where Homestead a lot of the activity.
Homestead 3 is the old ramshackled one.
Yeah, the buildings that they don't even know what they're for. They're just there and falling apart.
Yeah.
Well, he said there's not much happening Homestead 1 because obviously that's the main living area. So don't know why there's not a lot there. But yeah, it is difficult. I think we need a trip out there and go and decide for ourselves.
That's what I was saying last week as well. I mean, these places, these places are everywhere. I think they're everywhere. You know what I mean? So it's interesting when you actually look at a certain area where it's got like activity, UFO activity, and everything around about it. And you don't even just look for if you look at it over like a 50-year period.
Yeah.
And you see all the different instances that's happened, because you're looking at Skinwalker Ranch and you're looking at it for the outset, going back even initially, obviously I know Baston that were there and all that kind of stuff. You're looking at over the space of like 30 or 40 years, but it spans beyond that. And then that's where you've got all the accounts there. But if you take a place which has got a lot of accounts and then look further and further back, as you know, it's attributed to like a lot of phenomena. Happens everywhere.
Yeah.
These places everywhere.
And I'm just finding them. And it's like a lot of them, people probably know about them, but they don't want to share it because they don't want the publicity. And then everyone going down there and trying to do experiments and find out what's going on.
I'm in a Kenny. I think there's one here.
Yeah.
Not here where I stay, but in the Bathgate Hills and stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff happened here. I mean, you've got within that, as I said last week, within a small geographical area, you've got the whole Falkirk Triangle thing, right? Which is, it spans a lot further than that. The Bonnie Bridge and stuff. There was like hundreds of sightings and hundreds of different stories that happened around about like between the late 80s to kind of late 90s. You've got all the prominent abduction stories, which some of them, the police were involved in stuff like that, all happened within like 15 miles of each other. Right?
Right.
You've got the Silverman account with the cryptid thing happened in the same area. You've got a lot of other stories around about the same area. I was even looking at some more last night. And they're just so closed in a small area. And then to top that off, they're sitting amongst like burial mounds and all that kind of stuff as well, throwing all that in the mix. So, I mean, the thing is though, there's some of these places people aren't constantly staying in them, or maybe they're staying in like a local town where they're not constantly looking at sky or expecting stuff. Things just maybe transit and happen within an area, and people don't know what it is. But because the Skinwalkers had a bit of history in regards to having a curse there in the past, and then you can see it being more prominent. But these places are out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right, we'll go for a 5-minute break, and then we'll carry on.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right, so see you guys then.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we are back. Sorry, I was just getting some questions ready, and Chris has sent me that picture. So if you bear with me 1 minute, I'll get that up if you want. Do you want to do that now, Chris?
Yeah, if you want, mate. Yeah.
Right. 1 second. Right. That's right. Going in the wrong place. If we do it as an overlay, it'll be easier. Downloads. There it is. There we go.
So you can see this, I mean, where your 3G and all that kind of comes in, and what type of technology, what stuff like non-ionizing radiation, and then when you've got ionizing radiation at the other end, that's like your X-rays, gamma, cosmic, radioactive sources, stuff like that. So there's a different type of frequency in the wavelength in there. You know what I mean? So it's this kind of stuff in the middle here where you see the microwaves, and then maybe even at the very end the ELF stuff as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that's kind of like harmful. You know what I mean? The stuff in the middle. Well, it can be harmful to a certain degree, but I mean that's kind of what you're attributing to some of the kind of radiation burns and that they're getting on the ranch. As I would suspect, it's coming from microwaves. You know what I mean, within that kind of range, and you see there your 3 gigahertz range, and then where they're getting that whole signal, it's like 1.6 gigahertz. It usually comes in it.
Right. Yeah. So where the cell phone and the tower and all that is.
Well, not Well, see, you've got it there. That's just all kind of bunched in together. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
The different signals and stuff, but it's the far end down to the gigahertz. You know what I mean? But when people are supposed to be the whole kind of thing about tracking UFOs and all that kind of stuff in regards to like military, it's at the 3 gigahertz level, right? That's where it's supposed to kind of. But there's loads of stuff that works off 3 gigahertz as well. But that's where you're usually finding it comes from. You know what I mean? That's supposed to be the kind of signal, the kind of tracking, all that kind of stuff. And that actually came from. I was talking to via Twitter. What's his name again? John Ramirez. So I was talking to him on Twitter about flying deals and stuff. He's not on Twitter anymore. But I was talking about flying deals and about baiting, because I was talking about that the one of the places which is south of Paul Sinclair, Stackton Wolds, because that's one of the oldest radar sites, and if not the oldest radar site in the UK, Stackton Wolds next to Paul Sinclair, the one with the sea stuff. And I was wondering if that had the capability to pump out anything which was baiting anything in or anything like that. And John Ramirez says no, that he knew the loads about. That's his thing. He knows all the radar shit.
Yeah.
And he basically said that it's the main one would be like for tracking and stuff like that is like flying deals. That's the one. But different story. But I mean, that's just to give you a kind of rough idea. I'm not an expert. I'm going to shoot the messenger if I'm slightly off, but I'm into it for the fact that I've got a sensitivity to microwave radiation. So I love it. You know what I mean? So no, love it. I love it.
Yeah. No. Right. We have got some questions. Right. So I might start at the beginning and just work through them. So first one is from Umbra. Does anyone know what the radius where the don't dig rule stops? How are people putting in building foundations, etc., in that region, or do they not put foundations in? They've not built on it for a long time, have they?
Well, I don't think it's like a local authority thing. I just think it was like on the ranch where that was on its own. It was just passed down by previous ranch owners that just says don't dig on the ranch.
Yeah, because if you do, stuff will go down. And
well, I don't even think they said why. I just think when the people moved in, they said don't dig in the ranch or whatever. Or I don't think they actually left a reason why. And then before that, there was a bit where somebody mentioned that further back who'd done work at the ranch before the Gormans, and he said the same. There was something about they wanted to dig in the ranch at a certain place where there was a boulder sitting, which you'll see in like seasons coming up. But
Yeah.
I don't know how far that spreads, but the actual description about no digging in the ranch was mainly focused on the ranch.
Yeah.
And that's it. But my whole kind of thing on that, which I alluded to last week, was if you've got other places like this and you don't know what stirs it up or pokes a hornet's nest, they could be building a motorway somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And that could generate a UFO flap if that was the case, right? But how would you know that? I mean, that's the same. So I used to kind of think of these kind of things where you had the UFO flap in the Falkirk area. And I'm just trying, I'm still to look into it, but I'm wondering if at the same time there was a new motorway getting built right next to Bonnet Bridge and all that kind of stuff, right? The M80. And I always wondered if, does that maybe akin to maybe causing anything and whatever? I mean, so you don't know. You really don't know.
No, it could have been.
You never know.
No. Right, sorry, I'm just getting the next one. Right. So this bit was in season 1. So from Space Cadet, what is both your opinions on the episode with Linda Moulton Howe and her analysis? Do you remember that one?
I can't remember it. Aye, what was her overall? I can't remember overall analysis at the end though.
Wasn't that was about the mutilations, wasn't it?
But the mutilations, but the main kind of thing that happened at the end was there was a cow that the rest of the cows disappeared away from it.
Yeah, they went to the other side of the ranch.
It collapsed. It then started. They had it on camera. It collapsed, and then was trying to get up. And as it was getting up, they try and move again. They could see there was a UFO in the frame above it.
Yeah,
a small UFO
just above the tree, wasn't it?
And the reason they were saying it was a UFO because Eric Bard had actually managed, and they managed to work out where it came from in regards to the speed and all that kind of stuff, and the frames and how quick the frames went. So it wasn't just a bird fleeting past, or they record it in another frame or another camera elsewhere. So they said this was a definite UFO. This thing appeared and it disappeared, and as this thing appeared, the cow reacted to it as well. At the same time. But during that time as well, when they went across to it, I know obviously we're going to be a bit more to the question. We'll come back to the question, but when they went across to it, that's when things like I mentioned earlier on with Caleb's phone started going nuts.
Oh, it just went mental.
It was like somebody going through his phone without him touching it. You could see it going through actually everything.
It's like everything was being open and closed, and each app was being activated as it was being open. All the buttons, all the number. It's like they were sending, like they was trying to use it for messaging, making phone. Every single thing on that phone.
But you can see it all moving about. Typing it really, really fast and going to everything.
Well, you can only do one at a time.
And all that kind of stuff. It's happened to
everything was working.
Well. Yeah, it wasn't just his phone. It happened to somebody else's on the ranch as well.
Yeah, it happened earlier. Travis earlier on at the beginning. And it's like someone was just pressing all the numbers, and then there was texting at the same time, opening the apps at the same time, closing them, turning mobile data on and off. Everything was being pressed all at once, and it's impossible to do. That's what they said.
But the whole cattle mutilation thing, you know, I mean, the whole cattle mutilation thing where I can't remember what her eventual analysis was at the end, but I know what our thoughts are in some of the cattle mutilations in regards to what they are and stuff. So there's a few different theories out there where it's like they were looking.
I think, from what I can remember, she pretty much said that there's no way it could be humans doing it. We don't have the technology to do all that, because they were saying about there was not one drop of blood underneath where it's happened to others. It was stuff was surgically removed. If we was to do it, if we was to do it with laser, you couldn't get a laser out there to do it. It'd have to be taken, laser cutting done, and then the animal put back to where it was. But then they kind of think that might happen anyway. Yeah, with the being lack of blood.
I kind of think as well, like when I was watching, it was either this or Hunt for the Skinwalker. I'm sure it was this, the first season. It was when I remembered about, because I was out running one night. If you know some of the stories I've talked about in the past, I basically got followed by it was like a red LED, and it was like it basically ran next to me for it. I thought it was a dog with a collar on, but then I couldn't see the dog. I mean, it wasn't there. The thing disappeared, but it tracked me for like 700 meters, running next to me, right, weaving in and out the bushes, and it wasn't far. It was only like maybe 5 to 10 meters away from me, but I've totally forgot all about it. I mean, I was watching this. They talked about, because you hear people talk about orbs and stuff like that, but I'd never ever heard anybody talking about the small LED. But they talked about a small red LED fleeting in and out about the cattle and stuff like that. And that's when it came totally back to me. And I went back to my wife and I said, "Do you remember I talked about that?" Because I can't remember. She goes, "Did I never tell you?" And she says, "Yeah, you never stopped talking about it for months." But mad. I mean, totally mad.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, she didn't, same again, didn't really come to a conclusion with anything, did they? With what she was saying.
I don't think.
I don't remember anything.
Her conclusion was that I know some of her theories that things are maybe getting tested on for is it the prions? I mean, like say to do with the what's the actual the brain disease causing stuff like that some of the cattle get. They get it in deers and elk and stuff like that. Which basically I can't remember the name of it. I know the name of it for like beef cattle, like Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is CJD. So that
what we call my
same type of stuff is found in deer and it's found in like elk and stuff like that. And David Paulides alludes to it in his new film, where and somebody mentioned it last week. I've watched it this week, and that's the same type of thing. But she alluded to, she thinks that they were either testing for that to see how far it's into the food chain. That was one of the theories.
Yeah.
And if it was either government or UFOs or a mixture of both. I know that was one.
Yeah, I remember her saying that now. It could have been, she can't be 100%, but it could be either government and or ET.
Because there was one back in the day when they found a needle underneath the underside of the cow. And a lot of them some of them always got dropped. It seemed like they dropped and broke the legs. So it looked like they dropped for a high height and things like that. A lot almost with the mutilations as well, but that was that. And then there was one case, I think it was one case where they found like a hypodermic needle underneath the cattle.
Right. There's a lot of helicopter sightings around there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, that's like black helicopters and stuff.
So what's not to say that they're going at night, picking cattle up, taking them, then just dropping them back off when they've done whatever they're doing.
Too quick though. I mean, that's the thing. When you see this new film with David Paulides, there's like people. If you've not seen the film already about the UFO connection, missing 411, there's guys doing logging. Spanish guys doing logging. And they see a group of elk getting chased by a small 5-foot UFO, and then it goes down. It picks up one elk. And so this thing's no big enough to have a man in it. It basically goes down and it picks up one elk. It's not got any strings or like any ropes attached to it. It's just got the elk frozen and it's flying away with the elk. They see it and they report it and it gets investigated the day. It got investigated by UFO and stuff like that, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. That's the first time
I'll have to watch that. I'll watch that over the weekend.
But that was elk and it's happened. There's been a few other ones where it kind of connects things like that. And I mean, I know we're going off tangent, but it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. No, cheers for that. Right. Kind of answered it, but not. So from Nickname, what are your theories or thoughts on the cow and the UFO? Do you think there's a connection between the two, or was it just coincidence?
I've definitely seen a connection there with that. I mean, especially when that was going on, the thing after it with Caleb's phone, and then obviously them seeing the UFO and videoing it, and they managed to actually track it, but work out the speed what it done. So
and the fact that there was 42 cows in total in that herd, because the two rangers had to go to find all the others and count them, and they said they was on, I think it's a west paddock or whatever, and since they've been there, the cows have never gone over to that part of the ranch. They've always stayed on the east side, and they got as far away from where the dead cow was as possible. Because it's all fenced off, so they can't just get anywhere.
I did see a connection because that was the thing where them seeing that. And originally when I seen that picture and they seen like it was like a black circular thing, I just thought that's a bird. You know what I mean, or something like that. But when they actually look at other footage and they manage to work at the speed of the thing, and it just flies it. It's no, I think it either appears and disappears, or it's actually in another frame. I can't remember. But they work out the speed of it or how quick it's came in and out. Excuse me.
Yeah. Right. Quick question. Not all going off topic a little bit. So this is obviously from me to you. Do you think with the missing 411 can include animals, not just humans?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, definitely. And I think if you watch this new one, you'll see it does. It's to do with the mutilations and cattle getting took away and stuff like that. And it's again, they reckon it's down to the prions and stuff like that, the brain disease.
No, cheers. Right, next one again from Umbra. With so much activity on Skinwalker, why do you guys think nothing absolutely conclusive has been provided either from the owners, government, or even curious general public? Well, I can answer a bit of that. The first bit is when Bigelow had it, he had to sign Official Secrets Act. He wasn't allowed to disclose anything. And then when the government was on there, they classified a lot that went on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there is stuff on there, just we're not allowed to know.
There is. I mean, I think for them it was hard to get proof of it. They got there's videos of stuff. There's all the witness testimony that happened on the ranch when the NIDS team was there, in regard to them seeing like a portal open up. John Alexander, who was like a colonel in the military, he's involved in a lot of different programs, and he said the place was like a portal. And all the kind of strange things that happened during the NIDS era, you heard all these stories, and that was like with the mutilations, and that was all documented for the teams that were there. People also seen things. I mean, it's hard for it was all witness testimony. These people were all government people. When it moved to Bass, for NIDS, some of these stories are out, most of them are out. When it went to Bass, which was funded by the OSAP program and the DIA, right, Defence Intelligence Agency. So when it was funded by them, all that was still classified. So, and Kenny, I'm sure it ended quite bitterly. I don't think, as far as I'm led to believe or read, that Bigelow didn't get fully paid for everything, so he held on to some of the information as well at the end.
Right.
But a lot of it didn't get released. Some of it got released in Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, in regards to people pulling the hitchhiker effect and stuff like that and things following them. But a lot of that stuff that happened in the Bass period during OSAP didn't get released. But there's an interesting, and I'd get used to go and look at that. There's a new podcast out with George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell called Weaponized.
Right, okay.
This week they've got a guy called, I think it's Jeff Stratton, on it. Yeah. And Jeff Stratton was one of the guys who was in OSAP. He was in OSAP. He's basically a military guy contractor, right? But he's like an engineer type guy, no UFO guy, but he was involved in OSAP. He was involved in ATIP, and he was involved in a lot of the different programs. And then he's ended up, he was getting the whole kind of the new UFO kind of team together and stuff like that, and was assigned to try and pull a lot of stuff together. Then they took him off it at the end. It was mainly because he was assigned to doing something else. But it's an interesting, I think they're only in the third podcast, the third or fourth one now, but it's a really interesting one, which kind of pulls quite a lot of different stuff together between McCarthy, Lou Elizondo, OSAP, NIDS, Bass, and all the stuff that's happening now within the American government. It's worth looking at. It's called Weaponized. It's you get it on podcasting sites and stuff like that, or YouTube.
Yeah. Cool.
That's George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. I know you don't know who that is.
Yeah, I know. I've got the book there that needs to be opened. Start reading that.
What one's that?
The Hunt for the Skinwalker.
Aye.
Yeah.
Well, I've read that and watched most of the stuff and everything, but actually I hadn't read Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, and I listen to a lot of books to drive and stuff like that. So they didn't have it in audio, and it's just I've just bought it today in audio. That Skinwalker covers a bit with the Bass situation, and it covers a lot of the hitchhiker stuff in that as well. So I've watched podcasts on it, and between the people who are involved.
Because of you, I ended up downloading Audible, and you get free credit when you first go on there, don't you?
Yeah.
You get 1 credit, so I got Skinwalker Ranch. Facing the unknown force that haunts the something basin. Can't see it. Writing's too small. I've not got my glasses on. So yeah, I've got to listen to that next week as well. So I'll be getting it audible, video, and book. So if I don't know anything next week, you know, my memory, I've either not done it or my memory's shocking, or a bit of both. Right. Couple more questions. So Nickname's asking, do cows behave like that when they are ill? No, I've not got a clue.
Don't know. No ranch hand. Probably.
They behave differently, but it depends how ill they are, I suppose. Depends what's wrong with them.
Yeah, you could put it into that. You probably get a farmer saying, yeah, to do, that's the way they act, whatever, but I'm not sure. I don't know enough about them, but you know that thing anyway. There's too many. When there was EMF readings next to where the cow was, quite high, and also that thing happened to Kayla's phone and the scene, that thing above the cow, just as it was like, it was like dropping down and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because they were saying that the Geiger counter, what's it called?
EMF meter.
Yeah, the radiation levels were that high because that other security guy was there, wasn't he? He was treating it like
Dragon.
No, his mate.
Oh, Caleb. Yeah.
He was treating it like a crime scene, doing all the photos and measuring it all up and everything else.
Yeah.
And then they went back and said, "Look, you need to get out of it. The radiation levels are too high. You're going to be ill." And that's when they went. And then it jumped over then to when they was going find out where the rest of the cattle had gone.
Yeah.
So right. Next question is from Space Cadet. Do you both think any more of the CCTV evidential material from when Bob Bigelow had the ranch will ever be released?
Hope so. I mean, I do hope so. I know. Going back to the stories when they had all the video cameras up and stuff like that, they actually got some of them got dewired and the wires ripped out, and they had another camera on that camera. And you couldn't see it happen. It looked like somebody had actually climbed up the pole and ripped all the wires out. Like totally ripped them out, the cameras, but you couldn't see it. But the question, but I think you will see something at some point. They're bound to have some type of evidence, but I think you'll probably more likely see more evidence now than you would back then, because you look at the technology you had back in the 90s compared, or like maybe I'd say even at that. So that was probably. Some of that time was for the 90s, then it stretched into like obviously the 2000s, into like the 2000s. So the technology between even you look at like 15 years of technology, you look what we've got now, cameras and stuff like that. I mean, I think you're more likely to get something decent now than you would back then. Yeah, but hopefully they have got something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think eventually they'll drip feed it like they do everything else.
Yeah,
but. It's just a matter of time, innit, and waiting. Right, next one is from Lottie again. Have you lads noticed if the building type has an effect on the phenomena, e.g. brick and stone, in comparison to the timber structures?
It's quite an interesting question. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so, because when you look at the stories past where the brick structure house had poltergeist phenomena in it, and stuff like that happening, and a lot of stuff happened in it. And then when you got the timber structure houses, that's where some of the most where they get activity and stuff. But they're kind of wide open as well. But I'm not really sure. You know what I mean? In regards to there, I would say there's probably no change. But I think when you've got houses nowadays, I don't know, you maybe have like people think stone and thicker stone and all that can act as a recording kind of mechanism, that.
Yeah, but I was going to say same as you. Different parts of the ranch is different types of building, and they've all got activity going on. So you can't really narrow it down to the materials used. So, I don't know. It's a difficult one, that.
Yeah.
There we go. So, UFO Joe's asking, would any of you spend a week there?
No bother.
Hey?
No problem.
Yeah, oh, yeah. And the next one from Adam. So, would you accept a free 2-week holiday at the ranch? And what
Definitely.
would you want to do? Yes. If I had the chance to go, I'd go. Experiment wise, don't know. You couldn't just do one, could you? You'd have to do multitude of different things.
Yeah.
So you'd have to spend time in like Homestead 1, then some time in Homestead 2, go out to where like towards the ridge and like do an overnight. I won't do overnight in a tent. It'd have to be in the back of a truck or something. So I can, if something does kick off, I can get out, get away. I'd see me in the front driving it, but I'd pretty much just do all different dowsing, EMF.
I think for the as well. I mean, I wouldn't mind where like having some technology, obviously recording stuff. And the one that the most things that intrigued me further on was the kind of opening portal type ritual. So I think something in regards to mixed in with magic, right? Not that I'm into magic or anything like that, but I'm saying like something like that mixed in with technology, because all this stuff seems to get a link between like life after death, UFOs, crazy stuff, high strangeness, and magic. It's all linked in. So magic, for some reason or other, seems to hack the phenomena. So with people doing different things or different rituals and things like that. I mean, that's kind of what I kind of can see it as. So that's what.
Yeah. I would do like thermal imaging.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Technology, thermal imaging, everything and some type of thing going on. You know what I mean?
If they said to me, you can have any equipment that you need to do the experiments, but where do we sign?
Even if you look at the day, for example, if you look at the people doing CE5, right?
Yeah.
You see people doing CE5. You see people going ghost hunting, right? So they go ghost hunting, right? And they will stand and do like basically some kind of clearing or whatever first and all that. So like to clear energies and all that, or whatever people do, right? So that there, right, is almost like a ritual, all right? Regardless how you want to hash it up, it is, right? So the people are coming together and they're focusing on one kind of thing. The exact same as CE5, right? So that's why people get things coming for that as well, and you'll get things coming for, obviously, that's the way I kind of see it, and I see these things like they kind of like hack into it some way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But it's like when I went out and did the investigation the other night, and we always do before we get there. We kind of like not clear the air, but same sort of thing. We just like you say stuff in your head to the energies that are around you, because you feel like a right idiot if you say them out loud. It just and then when we finish, before we go home, we do it again to say like, look, we're going back now. You're not invited to come back with us. You have to stay here. So, and just little things like that, just like protections.
Here's another example as well. If you're learning to astral travel, right? If you're learning to astral travel, and depending who will teach you it, right? Before you do it, you do affirmations and stuff like that, and you also do things where you protect your body, right, from unknown entities or things like that. So even with Bob Monroe, right, Robert Monroe for the Monroe Institute, right, his astral travel is more like any scientific way of doing it, right, but he still goes down the route where you still need to try and have some kind of affirmation to protect your body. along with if you look at like another sense where maybe you have maybe a kind of magical sense or something like that, teaching you how to astral travel, they always have some kind of protection thing as well. You know what I mean? So it's all there. You know what I mean? So if you can imagine if you're doing something where you're going to CE5, and that's why people say that maybe CE5 can be dangerous and stuff like that, because you're maybe not doing the protection things and stuff like that. I understand all that, but aye, a bit away in a tangent there, but aye, I think there's mixed up some between magic and technology to try and. I think you'd get
just mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we at the 1 hour, 1 hour 28, because there's a couple of minutes late coming on. There are no more questions. Have you got any for me, Chris?
Trying to think. Do you think if you were going to think of a window area like that, anywhere you've been or looked at or whatever, where would you say it was? Because you can probably attribute a window area to a lot of different places. So, what would be the place near you or a place you've been that you'd attribute to be a window area, like Skinwalker Ranch?
The house that I used to live in Milton Keynes. I swear, honestly, there was just everything going on. There was UFOs outside. There was growling noises. That was where I was in the back garden seeing the pterodactyl fly over. Shadow people, full body apparitions running down the stairs around into the kitchen. Everything was going on. The voices, the stuff being moved. Like literally, there's one, used to keep one of the bedroom doors open. Well, the main bedroom door and the box room door, because of the size of the bed, you couldn't close the bedroom door. End up taking that door off and getting a concertina on.
Yeah.
And there's it's like an era, but it's more for like putting coat hangers on. So there's a couple of cardigans and some else on there. Sorry, I just got a message. I'm checking what it was. I'm seeing this cardigan on a cot, and it just moved out like that, stopped like 3-4 seconds, and then slowly went back. Weren't swinging, weren't blowing. Someone physically moved it, and there was no one else there. And I just went, oh! I just made this weird noise and like slid under the covers because I knew where it was. I knew who it was as well. And it was just, I'd only been living there about 2 months.
So what do you think was the growling noises? Joe Weeks is saying we shall not be moved. You stay on at 10 if you want. You stay if you'd get in on, you stay on at 10 if you want.
It's up to you, you can do. I don't do weekends, so I don't have to be up early or anything anymore. We see the growling one, that was the weirdest one of all. So where we used to live, it was a croft, and so description was 4 rows of houses making a square, grass in the middle, and a path all the way around. Directly opposite the house where I lived was like an underpass, and that went to where the communal parking was.
Yeah.
Then to the left and adjacent left was a walkway that cut through the croft. So you start one, you'd be able to walk all the way through all the others. Right. So I was upstairs, front bedroom, and the window, they opened horizontally, not vertically. So it was tilted open, probably about a couple of inches. Person I was with was in the bathroom, but her daughter had come into, I think she's getting a school uniform or something. It must have been a week, school night, weeknight, whatever. And I'm like, please tell me you can hear that noise. And she's only like 13, 14. She's looking at me, and I'm like, she starts laughing. I went, don't be laughing. I went, stick your head out the window, see where it is. You stick your head out. I went, yeah, all right. And we was both laughing, but it was a nervous laugh. We was laughing because we were scared.
Yeah.
It wasn't, because we could both hear it, and it was like a guttural. I can't even explain it. Now, the only dogs in the area was the house. Well, opposite us were flats, so opposite and to left a bit, they had a Jack Russell. That was it, and next door but one, they had like a Springer Spaniel or something. So there were no big dogs. There's no dogs in the area that could make that noise. If I had to guess at something that was under the window, like an animal that we know about, I'd say it was a bear or a lion that was stood under the window growling. Because of the paranormal side to everything, I'd say it was some kind of dog man. Didn't see it, couldn't smell anything, but where the wind, so say where the microphone is, the window's open like that, that bit there, I'd say that's where it was. I just couldn't see it. It was right at the window or just below it.
It's mad that when you get that mixture of kind of melting pot of things going on. And the reason I asked you about the kind of growling thing as well is because I came across a story, which is quite an interesting story. And I podcasted, I got the guy to tell me the story, and he didn't even want to podcast it. And they got recorded it and stuff like that. And he said you can relay it out if you want. But was that a good story? He let me change his voice and put it out. And he, because he's job and all that kind of stuff, he didn't want it relayed out or anything. But he managed to. If I said, if I change your voice and let you hear it, would you let me put it out? And he said fine. So his story was, I'm not going to go delve right into deep it because it was quite a lot to it. But from a young age, he's seen beings come into his room. He'd seen him outside. And you've seen him come into his room, and that's mainly what he could remember. He used to just hide under the covers, and then he would just wake up the next morning or whatever else. And he'd seen other things as well. He'd seen like UFOs and stuff like that, and whatever. And this happened right through his childhood. And then he stayed at a kind of like a farmstead type place. And the right round about that area I'm talking about, where you get the kind of Falkirk trial. I'm not going to say exactly where, obviously, but it was in that area, and it was in the same time frame when it was all going on. And I've met the guy twice, totally sound, stable mind, and all that kind of stuff, and understand the job he's got. He's no one in relating that, which is fine. But I've put it out there and just changed the voice and that, right? But he said when he went away for the house he stayed in, and he came back into it, and I think he moved into a bit of his wife or whatever, when he was a bit younger. And for the first few months of moving back in, he heard growling in the house. So there were like loads of different phenomena. He heard there was like you seen UFOs, you seen like numerous times the lights and stuff like that. His mum and dad seen them as well. He'd seen beings come into his room, like kind of typical grey, kind of whitish greys come in. The outside in is almost like they're coming through the wall. He also had a time where he'd seen like a kind of mantis type grey over his bed when he was on holiday, and he could see it. He woke up and it was like he could see his leg and stuff like that. And he ended up when he came back to this house he was in, he heard growling. They kept hearing growling all the time in the house, like it was like a guttural growl in the house. And he said it lasted for months. He goes, it would come and go. And he goes, I just got like that sick at one day. I stood up and I just shouted like, well, you just get F off or something like that. Yeah. And it stopped. It stopped. But this thing was like, he could hear it all the time. So it's these things kind of chalked up together, where he also had like kind of ghostly things. So he's got UFO type things going on, right? Yeah. He's got being type things going on, almost like he's an abductee, but he can't remember being abducted, right? He's also got things like that growling thing, apparitions. Yeah. Also had things outside where they'd heard like it was like a baby crying, like in the middle of the night somewhere. And he said, I know what foxes know that sound like. It goes, that's like that. It goes, we're staying in the countryside, scream, don't they? We know what it's like. And he said, I know that kind of went on, but when you have that kind of melting pot of the whole kind of thing together in like a small location, there you go. I mean, you're writing what you're saying, Ken. When I'm asking you about where would be the window area for you, you're saying back in my old house. I'd probably say, I'm attributing quite a lot to the area where I stay. And we had stuff like that in my old house. You know what I mean? And like with the kind of weird stories what happened at mine. But like, not a stone's throw from my house, there's been like mega UFO reports. I mean, go
Yeah.
back in the day. You know what I mean? Some for police, some for other people within the community and all that kind of stuff. And then when you look just 5 miles out, there's more. 10 miles out, there's more. Again, prominent abduction cases and all that. And they're all there. You know what I mean? They're all there through time.
Yeah.
And
well, back at that house, that was where I found what I think was an implant in my nose. That was in the same house as well. And the original A5, Watling Street, that runs right at the back of the house, probably not even 100 yards. So whether that's got a connection to it or not, I don't know. But this is the other thing as well. So, you know, Jessica Jones did that remote viewing for me.
Yeah.
So right at the top, the first thing that she wrote was, I don't know what the first word says. I can't read it. But next to it says dog noise / outside house. And funny about back.
That's the dog came back. That noise, reverberation, I see it.
Yeah, so you can just see it. Yeah. So for her to get that, because the coordinates that I give her was for that house.
Just, I've seen a question there just for Lottie. So is there a high strangeness area in Scotland Chris would like to investigate? So I've kind of, there's a place, obviously, I think I mentioned it last week, and I've mentioned it before, which I do find interesting. So you've got, in the second highest mountain in Scotland is Pt.2, and that's been attributed to stories about the grey man, the big grey man, right? So you get the big grey man, which is like some type of Bigfoot type creature. There's been multiple stories yet in the past with prominent mountaineers. A guy called Affleck Gray recorded them in a book called The Big Grey Man. And I never read the book before because I kind of thought it was like a tongue-in-cheek type book called The Big Grey Man. I just thought it was like, but then I read it and I kind of got hooked on it and some of the stories and stuff. And if you follow that kind of stuff, you can, as I said last week, you can see like the same type of points that happen. So it's like, again, footsteps following and all that kind of stuff. You can't see them, and obviously there's other things as well. Like it's almost like you can hear somebody talking like further away, but it's like a different language, or you hear. There's like loads of different things, and people are actually seeing these big things, like actually kind of massive big things. A guy tried to shoot it once. He had like a handgun, right? And this is going back in the early 1900s. But Affleck Gray put in lots of prominent cases in there, which he thought were kind of prominent enough to be in there. Some of them are actually in the papers and stuff, like the Scotsman, prominent paper, right, back in the day. And these were very prominent kind of hill walkers and mountaineers, so he knew they had a bit of credence behind them. He had loads of other cases, but he didn't put in the book. I mean, I want to try and get his dossier if I can. The guy's dead now. But that area up there is an interesting area because it's the second highest mountain. It's Cairngorm Mountains. People go missing up there quite a lot as well. In the fact where I don't think they get found and stuff, right? But there's always compass area and stuff like that with the area. It's all granite, right? Big massive granite area up there. It's all granite, which again is attributed to some cases and stuff like that. You've got all that. It kind of goes on. A lot of different stories run about. I'm going to highlight them in a podcast at some point soon. Across from that, there's another mountain just adjacent from Pt.2 called the Devil's Point. It used to be called the Devil's Penis. It's called another name, but translated it's called the Devil's Penis. So the devil's the detail with the names in that. And there was a lot of folklore stories with this mountain as well about I'll need to dig back into them, but it was like some like pregnant women being lured there or things like that. Something like that.
Right, okay.
So there's an area in between the two as well, which is a big massive gorge that cuts right through it, right? So you're in this big valley between the two, middle of nowhere. Takes you about like 6 hours to walk into it. And so that whole area, there's like a bothy. A bothy is like a small kind of cottage or whatever else, middle of nowhere. Right. Climbers and that can go and stay in. So there's some stories for that as well. At night and stuff, because I was digging through some of the old forums with the hill walkers and stuff like that. So I went and stayed there a few summers ago, And so I walked in, went in myself, took a tent, and
Yeah.
went right in the middle between the two mountains. But it was I didn't really think about it that much because it was in the summer, and in the high summer, right in Scotland, it was only dark for like 2 hours. So
Right.
it got dark at night at 11:30, 12, and it was like then it was light again. Like it was like 2:30 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because it was just that time of summer. But I was at knackered anyway, so I left during the day, or the kind of late on. The time I got there, it was like 9:30, so I had something to eat, then went to bed, then woke up the next morning and went back out again. So I'm going to go back in there and spend a bit of time. I'd actually said to Chris Turner and Paul Sinclair about it, and they were interested maybe coming in and going back in up to Pt.2. But the whole area is interesting because there's also gone back in the day, which I might have said last week as well. There's a UFO cult called the Aetheri Society. So they've been going since maybe like the 50s or 60s. And they're stating some of the kind of stuff that's getting stated today through people like Dolores Cannon or regression and all that kind of stuff. So they can talk about all the kind of stuff that was like channeled for basically aliens and stuff like that, apparently, right? And they sort of got this kind of UFO. When they say it's a UFO religion or UFO, when they say a cult, because maybe you want to say a cult for a fact that because it's any DB a derogatory term and everything like that. It's a group or a religion, a UFO religion or a UFO group, and they believe that they've got sacred mountains that's been passed. This knowledge has been passed down through channelers or one of the main guys that started with a channeler, these aliens or whatever. Pt.2, the place Pt.2. In fact, it's next to Pt.2. It's not actually Pt.2. It's just right next to it. Was this one of the sacred mountains throughout the world? They're all over the world, but one of them's there at that place, and they still have pilgrimages to it and stuff like that. Same area, so it's like it's interesting that there's like all that type of activity up there, with the whole kind of thing up there. And then back in the day as well, Aleister Crowley, he was a member of the Mountaineering Club. He was a member of the club. He stayed basically. He stayed up in, well, as a crow flies, he was probably about 40 miles away. But it was a longer journey if you, like, obviously going by road. But so pretty interesting, like, whole area.
Yeah.
So I'll be back up there again and get to spend a bit of time up there and stuff like that.
When we went, with the ex about 16 years ago now, we went staying up at Fort William and we drove up, well, it was only about 2 miles from Ben Nevis. So we went up there for the day and we got the cable car going up. You're where the restaurant is part way up.
Yeah.
Them cable cars are the most horrific things I've ever been in my life. When I got out at the top, I said to the guys, do I have to go back down in them? He went, no. He goes, we don't even use them. So I walked back down. It took me about an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is Christmas week. So I think this was like the 27th, 28th of December.
Yeah.
So I'm walking down with about 30 layers on, big ski coat, waterproof trousers, like hiking boots and all that. And as you're walking past the forest in the mountain, all the way down, it felt like I was being watched. It was, and there's only everyone else got the cable car. I'm like, I'm not going. I'd rather walk and get attacked by someone than go back down in one of them. But it just felt like there was something there watching me all the way through. Yeah. It's a weird feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, I mean it is. I mean that's the when you get that kind of thing. I mean with that kind of feeling, as I said, I got that feeling. I got that feeling with the place where the Silver Man happened. Yeah. No knowing it happened there, but I got it like 20 years prior. Oh, it was actually probably a good bit after it happened, but it was 20 years prior of interviewing the guy. I got it like about 100 meters from the spot, but 50, 100 meters from where it actually happened. I was quite shocked at that.
Strange, isn't it, how you get them feelings in certain areas and you don't know why?
This made me turn on my heels, and I was just out running. And I'm no.
I remember you saying.
I don't usually scare easy with stuff. And I was out running, and something just stopped me in my tracks, and I kind of thought, I'm not going any further. I'm not going into the woods. I've been since. I've been since and stuff. But it was that day, just a feeling I had that day. It was like, I didn't go any further. Something's going to happen, or that's the kind of. It was a feeling.
It's a gut feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. So I turned round and hightailed it back out of there. And I'd mentioned to my wife, it was only, I think at the time I must have only been about 23 or something, 24.
Yeah.
And then it was like later on recently when I interviewed the guy with the Silverman, it happened that it was basically around about the same place. And there's burial mounds there as well. Small bit. There's Bronze Age burial mounds there.
Yeah. No, it is. It's just when you get that feeling, it's good that you get it, because to me it's a warning.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the people that don't get these messages, because they're going to carry on going. And are they part of the missing 411?
Well, I'll tell you an interesting story, right? Which I just only found yesterday, and I hadn't known the story. We watched the 411 thing, and then with this woman going missing recently, right? With in England, where obviously walking a dog and she disappeared next to the river, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying she's the party missing 411 or anything like that. I'm not saying that, right? But it's the same kind of points, right? But when I was just looking through to see any updates on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody referred it to, it's like something like my husband who disappeared like a year before. So I was looking at his case, right?
Yeah.
So this guy who was a bushcraft expert, right? And had a bushcraft expert business and that. He went up to a place called I think it was Lothnavia, right? It's up in Scotland, right? This was back in March last year. And he went up there and he was going to do a bit of like bushcraft and walking and stuff like that. Totally disappeared. And they've had like search parties out for him. They've had like a dog and all that kind of stuff. Guy's never been found. Totally disappeared.
Strange, isn't it?
Scotland's not a massive place. You know what I mean? And they had all the search and rescue looking for this guy. I've not looked right into the case. I was reading like the news report, but they had like trackers and all that kind of stuff out looking for him and never found him. He's not even found any stuff. Guy just totally like this, and there was no indication of the guy having any issues or mental health issues. Or that. He was away for like he went away in adventures. He had kids and all that.
Totally, but don't you think the pattern with this is though that these Bigfoot sightings, 1 minute they're there, the next minute there's no trace of them. They've just completely vanished.
Yeah.
And same with these missing people.
Yeah.
There's got to be some connection. I'm not saying there's a connection to Bigfoot and the missing people, but the way that they're seen, they're not seen, and then same goes. That to me, that's a connection.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the thing. It's like these things seem to appear and disappear.
Yeah.
When you look into the cases and all that kind of stuff.
But you think
see a t-shirt I've got in a day.
Yeah, like that one. It's like, could they be just walking into a portal? Because if you can't see it, you don't know, do you? You're just walking about and you step through it and you can't get back.
Well, that was the interesting thing when jumping into a few bits here. When David Politis was talking about 411, the original cases, he had cases where people actually walked into something and it was like they were in a bubble, and there's other people who seen like a shimmering thing in front of them, and he said like it was almost like he said his foot disappeared when he put his foot into it.
Yeah.
He said he could see through it, it was opaque, but when he put his foot into it, he couldn't see his foot. And there's another interesting thing as well, so that in kind of relation to that, which is like back here, when I was looking at the folklore stories, what's his name again? What's his name? The Reverend Aberfoyle at the time wrote the Secret Commonwealth. So he had collected lots of different stories, and when the author was going through all the diaries and stuff, right? There was stories. There was quite a lot of stories of people disappearing and reappearing, rather than just like when you looked into it, it wasn't mainly like just folkloric fairy stories, because that's what people attributed to and think it is that, right? But most of the stories were things like people disappearing and reappearing, or people disappearing and coming back like a week later, and things like that. And the one that just like on a wonder, I mean, they'd actually like disappeared,
and completely vanished.
Yeah, and they attributed it to things like that. I mean, there was one case where I think the women disappeared for like a year or something and came back, and there was like a lot of strange ones like that. But that was kind of some of the kind of strange ones you found when you were digging through some of the diaries here. Robert Kirk, that's his name. Couldn't remember his name there.
Well, when Jessica Jones came on first time, she was saying they went out doing some field research, and two of the guys went into a portal. It was like a big cube or something, a big square.
Yeah.
And they went in and then come back. Don't know if they put their arm in and then pulled it back out. I can't, without looking back at it. I don't know the full details, but same thing. They want to know, and it was there. They just picked up like this. Sure, she said it was like a shimmering thing. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's very similar to what you've been saying.
That's interesting with the cube, because in one of the David Paulides stories of this new film, the guy said he sees like a glass cube, and it was almost like he walked into it was almost like the cube was like a ship. Because what happened to him, his story was he'd seen like five elk, and they were stationary, and he went to shoot them, but he noticed that they weren't moving at all. They were like in total like static motion, frozen. So he took aim and he tried to shoot one, and his bullet hit something in front of them, and he went up and he actually found his bullet and it hit something like quite hard, and then he turned round and it was like he said it was just almost like a glass cube. And then he ended up in the ship or whatever else, and it was and ended up they abducted them. But the story was they abducted them, but they put them back because he had a vasectomy. That was the story.
Right.
And that was when it went back to like it was like back in the day. It was years and years ago. Like and the guys said that was like it was Jane up, but they actually found the guy living, so the guy's still living to this day, and they interviewed him again. I've never heard of that before. It's quite a strange one, but it's interesting now that you're seeing like spheres and cubes and that above the America with the fighter pilots are like coming across. I'm not saying it's a Chinese balloon.
Yeah, you never know. Made in Taiwan.
Because that Paulides once, if he has ever solved a missing 411, and he said no. Just talks about others have given him, takes the credit. I can see what you mean with that. He's just going around and collecting the stories.
Right, okay.
Cool. There's loads everywhere.
Yeah. There's got to be. You can't just all be in one area, can they?
What I'm going to try and do for this area, with I said the high strangeness has happened over the years.
Yeah.
Up here, I really want to try and dig into historical stuff. I want to try and find out if I can, because like there's old mines and that up there as well. There's like silver mines and that. So I want to try and find out where we could find some of that stuff. Quite hard to find. The good thing is that one of the towns I stay next to hold quite a lot of all the old records and that.
Yeah.
So need a bit of delving.
Yeah, cool. Right. Someone's put a question for me. I know it's hit before from Space Cadet. Just do it quickly. Where is your next live stream location, please? Last investigation was really good. Last invasion. It's actually going to be tomorrow afternoon at about 3:00. So we went to, I don't know if you've seen it, Chris.
No,
there's a pine forest down the road from me, but it's owned by the Spencer family, as in Princess Diana.
Yeah.
So Althorpe House is about where we was to where that is, about 1.5 miles, 2 miles down the road, and that's where the lake is, where Princess Diana was buried in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So all that land is owned by the Spencer family. So that's got to be hundreds, if not thousands of years old, and like part of their, I suppose, nature reserve, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So when we went the other night, we seen a few orbs in that. I seen there's a red one that flashed right in front of me, but we could see a dark mass between the trees.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, I was watching it back the other night, and it's really glitchy on the video. So I moved the torch away because I thought if this whatever's there isn't going to move, I'm pointing the torch at it. Anyway, I moved it away. When I moved it back, the gap where this black mass was, you could then see the trees through it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no eye shine coming from it or nothing. And then Rick, we got a bit nearer to it, but all the batteries started to go on the LEDs and that.
Yeah.
So he went in, and he said he got there and he couldn't say anything, but he could definitely tell that there was something that had been there. So we're going to go back tomorrow day about 3 o'clock, stay till just as it starts getting dark, and see if we can pick anything up again. So it's like 15 minutes from my house.
How do you record the live ones? What do you record it on?
YouTube Live.
I
used to use my phone. So I used to do it through StreamYard, and then like we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
But then when you're doing the live, you're using one platform to link to another platform.
Yeah.
Might as well just go straight onto YouTube Live and do it direct. It's easier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just do it through that. And then obviously there's no intro or outro or anything, but then that makes it, I think that's better to watch, because if you're watching a live investigation, you're not going to be watching all the credits and everything else, do you, really? You just want to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so doing that one tomorrow, then we are I need to get in contact with the guy. We're going down to Highgate Cemetery in London. There's a guy from Cardiff. He had an encounter with one or maybe two large black hounds of some sort. And this was I think he said it was about 20 to 1 in the morning. But there's more, so supposed to be going down there, meeting him there. I'm going to do an interview with him, and he's going to talk me through what happened and everything that went on. So I'm going to do that as a podcast rather than doing a live one. So they're the next two that we've got lined up. Then it's going to be, what are we in now? February, March, April. I've got guests every week now up till the end of March. To the end of April. Then in May, we're going to go out and do some more like proper investigating.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not doing cemeteries because I'm so bored of cemeteries. Even though we do get stuff, it's like I don't want, that being horrible, I don't want to go looking for dead people. I want to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want something different, like the elemental, elves, goblins, fairies, light beings, orbs. Do you know what? Not spirits and ghosts. I want something just completely different. I think there's too many people now doing graveyards and cemeteries and derelict houses and all that. I want to be going out into the woods and forests and fields and middle of nowhere doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have got a project that I want to do in the summer, but I know what I want to do. I just need to see if anyone else wants to come along and do it. So that should be a good one. Fingers crossed. If not, I'll just go and do it on my own.
You can come to bed and do.
Well, I may as well tell you now. I've started saying it. What I want to do: hire a minivan.
Yeah.
If you can get like another 4 or 5 people, hire a minivan, and then go to find a couple of locations, do a couple of nights. Say do a Friday till Monday.
Yeah.
Go drive to one place, stay over, go out, do an investigation. Everyone crash back in the minivan or whatever overnight, or next day, whatever sleeping pattern we're going to be having.
Yeah.
And then the next one, go to another location and do that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me to do it on my own, it's going to cost far too much.
Yeah.
So if we can get another 4 or 5 people to join in, I'll throw money in towards renting the vehicle and fuel and that. It'll work out a lot cheaper, and it'll be a good laugh. And to meet people as well. So I've got 5 or 6 different locations that I'm looking at doing. So
there's plenty of locations.
One of them One of
I've got
them
a
includes Rendlesham.
I've got a motorhome.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want to hire. Yeah. But that's the thing. If we could hire a motorhome, it don't have to be a massive one, just enough to few people to sleep in.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing Rendlesham. I mean, keep me in the thing for that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got Rendlesham, Thetford, because I think what Thetford's just as you get into Suffolk, you've got a place called Alvedon, which is where Centre Parks is, but you've got Wolfden, so you've got a lot of the oddly named places.
Yeah.
So they must have been named that for a reason. And there's a lot of UK and US air bases around that area as well.
Yeah.
So so there's Rendlesham, Thetford, Cannock Chase, New Forest, and there's another one, but I can't remember. Someone mentioned going up to Bempton, but that Danes Dyke around there.
Yeah, quite fancy up at Bempton as well. Like, I mean, quite fancy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, if it just, like I said, just need to get 4 or 5 more people to jump in with us, sort it all out, and then just choose one or two places to go to. Bit of a road trip, a few investigations, and hopefully we don't go missing. Yeah, we come back and tell our story.
That's it.
So
That's it.
yeah, so that's the plan for the summer.
Fell into the glass cube.
Yeah, I'll probably drive straight through it with us all, innit? That's why I don't mind driving. So, because I drive for a living anyway, do 300 miles a day, so it's nothing really.
Yeah, no worries.
So, yeah.
Right, no worries. You want to call it a day?
Yeah, because we're just over the 2 hours now. So, thank you everyone for joining the chat. Thank you, Chris. Chris's amazing idea for the Skinwalker. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, everybody, for the chat.
Yeah, I'll get what I'm going to do, because I'm going to watch season 2 this week. I'll get some screenshots of everything that we're going to be covering. Just so then when we're talking about stuff, I can post them up.
Try and get some, what do you call it?
Some images.
The digging.
Yeah.
Right, no worries. Right, listen, thanks very much, everybody.
Yes. Yeah. I love doing this. Absolutely love it. It's great. So, right. Oh, before I go, next Wednesday, I am doing my other channel, Flying Solo. Got Michael Kopf coming on. And then next Friday, we're back doing part 3 of this. Is it part 3, isn't it? Yeah.
Part 3, yeah.
Yeah, part 3.
Season 2, part 3.
Season 2, part 3. Then it's season 3, part 4, just to confuse everyone.
Yeah.
Or me. Yeah. Yeah. So, for those that don't watch tomorrow, have a great weekend. For those that do, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. And that's it. We're done. So take care and see you soon.
Cheers,
Good
folks.
night. Bye-bye.